Good morning, welcome to Life Without Shakers. I'm once again in the Lake District, and as you may recall, last time I was up here I completed my whistle stop tour of Book 5, the Northern Fells, and today you find me in the beautiful Newlands Valley, and it's time to start an equally whistle stop tour of Book 6, the Northwestern Fells. Yeah, it's similar to Book 5, there's only 4 walks in it, and quite a big chunk of it is going to be taken up with today's walk, which is about 16 or 17 miles, and I'm going to start from here and head to Ard Crags and follow the ridge from there to Knott Rigg, and then I'm going to traverse the 3 big fells at the western wall of Newlands Valley, which is Robinson, Hindscarth and Dalehead. From Dalehead I'm going to take a slight detour to Castle Crag, and then I'm going to rejoin the main ridge via High Spy, Maiden Moor, and finish on one of the most popular fells in all the Lake District, which is Catbells. And it's going to be a very hot day, I think, looking at it, which means we should get some spectacular views of Derwent water coming down over Catbells. Yeah, right, that's the itinerary, so let's get underway. I just turned the camera the other way. I couldn't quite get these in the backdrop while I was filming that introductory piece because the sun was in the wrong place, but some beautiful friends here, these alpacas, wonderful creatures. Another thing to note, I mentioned the walk was going to be 16 or 17 miles. The Newlands Horseshoe itself is no more than 14 really. The extra distance is taken up by the detour down to Castle Crag. It's going to be 3 or 4 miles out of my way to pick up the very smallest fell in all of Lakeland, certainly in all of the Wainwrights. The only Wainwright smaller than 1,000 feet. And it's going to take a massive detour to get there. Typical Alfred. So I'm trudging along this piece of tarmac to get to the Ard Crags ridge. Just wanted to point out that similar to the Northern Fells, Northwestern Fells are virgin territory for me. So the Northern Fells I'd at least done Blencathra and Skidder before, but I think other than Catbells, probably Maiden Moor because it's on the same ridge, I've not done a single one of the Northwestern Fells. It's all completely new territory, and I'm very much looking forward to exploring it. And as I reach the top of this first steep climb, I've got virtually the whole of today's walk laid out in front of me. Got the summit of Ard Crags right in front of me, and then Knott Rigg just beyond it. Then panning around we've got Robinson, Hindscarth and Dalehead, looking like they're about to get shrouded in cloud. And then High Spy, Maiden Moor and Catbells just by the shores of Derwent water. So the only one you can't see from here is Castle Crag. And this is the summit of the first fell of the day, and indeed the first fell of Book 6, the Northwestern Fells. This is Ard Crags, 1,860 feet approximately. Wainwright says there is one point on the path alongside Rigg Beck where the defile ahead is occupied by the shapely pyramid of Ard Crags, its appearance suggesting complete isolation from other fells. At the top of Rigg Beck, however, a high pass forms a bridge with the greater mass of the Ard Crag range. Nevertheless, a clear identity is maintained by the ridge of Ard Crags as it runs southwest over Knott Rigg to Newlands House. Both flanks are rough and exceedingly steep. Erosion on the south side facing Newlands has been halted by a plantation to protect the road and farmstead of Castle at its foot. Suffice to say, Ard Crags is a bit of a lump with very steep sides that you don't want to fall down like that. Anywho, Knott Rigg next. It's a very lovely ridge actually, I must say. Once you're up here, nice and flat and lovely views. Should point out, in fact, these towering fells on the other side of Rigbeck. This is Sale and Ard Crag, I think. And they are for another day. And this is Wainwright number 2 of book 6. This is Knott Rigg, 1,790 feet approximately. Castle Crag is the long arm of Newlands, extending southwest and providing the only outlet for vehicles from the head of the valley. The road is accommodated for 2 long miles along the side of a narrow and steep-sided ridge of moderate height before climbing over a pass, Newlands House, formed by the gentle termination of the ridge. Lovely Buttermere is beyond. The ridge has 2 distinct summits. The higher overlooking Newlands is Ard Crags. The lower overlooking Buttermere is Knott Rigg. Knott Rigg is so tightly sandwiched between the impending masses of Robinson and the Ard Crag range that an extensive view is not to be expected. The distance seen is not completely restricted, however, and eastwards there is a glorious outlook across the valley of Newlands to the lofty skyline of Helvellyn and the Dodds. Must be that away, out beyond Derwent water. It's a very peaceful spot. I'm guessing not particularly well visited by people. Right, now it's about 4 miles to the point where I need to drop down to Castle Crag, and I've got 3 fells to go before then, so that implies they're all very close together. But also it looks like I've got quite a lot of descending and quite a lot of ascending to get to Robinson, and it also looks like Hindscarth is getting covered in cloud now, so yeah, this lovely day is not quite turning out as expected. Down at Newlands House now, and I was right, that was a lot of descending. Only to have to immediately ascend the same distance and higher. Ugh, brilliant. Not too bad actually. It was pretty steep up to this first little plateau here above the waterfall, but then the actual climb up to the summit of Robinson looks relatively gentle. Famous last words. First though, this is Moss Force feeding into Castle Beck, which presumably feeds into Derwent water. Right, onwards to Robinson. Wow, what a view all of a sudden to reach the top of this first little plateau. Buttermere and Crummock water beyond, I think, or possibly Buttermere, Crummock water and Lowes water. It's a good job it's a warm day, because the path is just taking me straight through a wide section of virtually impassable bog. And I've got very wet feet now. Robinson, 2,417 feet. It's Wainwright number 3 in the northwestern fells. Wainwright says this fell with the prosaic name is to look at the least attractive of the group around Buttermere. The defect largely due to its position on the sunny side of the valley. Lack of shadow always reduces the visual appeal of mountain scenery, and on Robinson the steep slopes rise blandly to the sky with nothing in particular to attract the eye, nothing to exercise curiosity and imagination. In complete contrast to the darkly mysterious and more challenging heights across the lake. It also says it's a pity about the name, which derives from a Richard Robinson, who purchased estates including this unnamed fell at Buttermere many centuries ago. Thereafter it was known as Robinson's Fell, but it could have been worse. This early land speculator might have been a Smith or a Jones or a Wainwright. Right, Hindscarth next. Right, it's not too bad. This is Hindscarth, I think. This knobbly one on the end, and then Dalehead, the big one just behind it. But what did draw my eye at this little point is in the valley down there, that's Honister Slate Mine, which means all around us here is Book 7. This is the Western Fells. This is all still to come. The other thing to note, obviously, about Honister is the Honister Pass Road, which looks practically vertical from this angle. This is Wainwright number 4 of Book 6. This is 2,385 feet. Wainwright says only a minority of the walkers who traverse the fine ridge between Dalehead and Robinson turn aside for a visit to the intermediate summit of Hindscarth, this lying half a mile off the direct course across a simple but uninteresting plateau. Comparatively few, too, climb the fell for its own sake. Those who do invariably ascend from Newlands along the only natural line of approach, the ridge of Scope End. Steep-sided and narrow-crested and richly carpeted in heather, this ridge is a beauty. It's time to head now to Dalehead, the highest point of today's walk. No sooner do we reach Wainwright number 4 of Book 6 than we reach Wainwright number 5 of Book 6. This is Dale Head, 2,473 feet, and well, much as Robinson and Hindscarth were rather plain with not much to look at, the walking was very lovely actually. Nice flat edges, not too much climbing once you get up on Robinson, and the reward is well worth it. The views down Newlands are spectacular. And we've got Honister on the other side, which I'm going to have a look at in a minute. So yeah, we're in the middle of the northwestern fells. We're immediately adjacent to the western fells. We've got a superb view of the Helvellyn range, which is in the eastern fells. So there is a lot to see around here. Another thing to point out is this is the ridge of High Spy, Maiden Moor and Catbells, just in front of me here. And I could be back at the car under normal circumstances in little more than an hour. I can practically see the car somewhere down near Newlands Church. But, of course, I've got my detour to Castle Crag, which is, yeah, an annoying, cruel little aside that Wainwright put in. Well, the paths up to Dale Head were nice and easy. The paths down from Dale Head on this side are very much less so. In fact, there isn't a path. I'm trying to make my way down to Dale Head Tarn down there. From there I'm going to make my way along towards High Spy. But then I'm going to head off down that valley you can just about see towards Castle Crag. I'm feeling a little bit down on Castle Crag because I'm heading from the third highest point in the northwestern fells to the lowest point in all of the Wainwrights. It's the 214th highest fell out of 214, and I'll find out in about 2 miles time why AW decided to give it its own separate chapter. Time when I'm back here. Now got about a mile and a half down Tongill and a mile and a half back to pick up Wainwright's favourite little summit. Already I can see in front beautiful Borrowdale. Castle Crag is in fact just poking itself out around the edge of the foot of Maiden Moor there. High Spy, I should say. Oh, made it to the bottom. Castle Crag, right ahead. That was actually a really lovely descent down Tongill. Not too steep, just a bit stony. Yeah, the steep bit was at the top where there were some fabulous ruins of an old slate mine by the look of it. I'm sure this path is what I was expecting. This was what all the fuss was about. This is Castle Crag, 985 feet approximately. It's Wainwright number 6 in the northwestern fells. Wainwright says perhaps to be strictly correct, Castle Crag should be regarded not as a separate fell but as a protuberance on the rough breast of Low Scordell. Yet Castle Crag is so magnificently independent, so ruggedly individual, so aggressively unashamed of its lack of inches, that less than justice would be done by relegating it to a paragraph in the High Spy chapter. If its top is below 1,000 feet, it is the only fell below 1,000 feet in this series of books that is awarded the full draw straight further down. Oh, finally I've made it back to the top of Tongill. That was every bit as tough as I expected it to be. Oh, Castle Crag itself wasn't too bad, but diverting all the way down there and all the way back from virtually at the summit of High Spy, it's just ridiculous. Oh, still just the last ridge to go now. Finally, I've made it to the top of High Spy. It is 2,143 feet. Wainwright number 7 of the northwestern fells. And that was a tough climb, especially coming all the way from the valley floor. Oh, I'm completely shattered now. Still got 2 fells to go. Oh, I'm too exhausted to read what Wainwright has to say while standing up. I have to sit down. The middle reaches of Borrowdale are bounded on the west by high fell sides, colourful and attractive side curtains that contribute much to the beauty of the valley, yet which have never really been fully accepted by visitors as part of the lovely setting of the natural stage they come to admire. In fact, between Catbells and Hollister there is only a single breach in the 4-mile wall carrying a beaten path, and that was beaten by quarrymen, not fell walkers. Consequently, the scenic beauties of Borrowdale are more often sought on the eastern slopes where good paths abound. Well, it's that unbeaten path now which I need to follow across Maiden Moor to Catbells and then back down to Newlands. Oh, I hope it's not going to take much longer because I am done in. Fabulous view of Derwent water from here. It's not very windy, so I'm going back to a lower level. Okay, it would appear this pitiful pile of stones is actually the summit of Maiden Moor, not the rather was. That's actually Blade Crag, just a protuberance off the side of High Spy. So this, in fact, is Maiden Moor. Wainwright number 8 of book 6, 1,887 feet. From mid-Newlands, Maiden Moor is seen to rise in 3 tiers. The lowest rock crown behind the hamlet of Littletown. The second, also craggy, but some distance back. And finally the summit, set at the edge of a steep fall to the upper reaches of the valley. Okay, now there is only one more fell, and it's right there in front, Catbells. So this is Catbells, 1,481 feet. We're at number 9 of Western Fells, and the final one of the day, thankfully. Wainwright says Catbells is one of the great favourites, a family fell where grandmothers and infants can climb the heights together, a place beloved. Its popularity is well deserved. Its shapely top knot attracts the eye, from its steep but obviously simple scramble to the small summit. It's the stopping off point. Now it's time to head back down to the valley. See, it's funny how memory plays tricks. I remember Catbells being like this bit in front. It's a nice smooth ridge all the way along. I don't remember anything like this sheer wall that I just had to climb down. And I'm off the steep bit, thankfully. That was a nasty old twist at the end of the day. Hopefully it's just flat and downhill left to go, and hopefully it's not too far to the path that takes me down into the valley. Apparently the path I need is just on the left here before the final end bit of the ridge, and I hope it is, because I've gone a long way past the car here. I've got a long way to go back again. No, apparently not. There were definitely paths shown on the map taking me back down to the valley along the side of the hill, but none of them seem to exist in real life, which means I've got God knows how much further to walk now. Oh, I'm never going to get back to the car at this rate. Oh, joy of joys, a road! Finally off the hills for today. Still got at least a mile down the road to get to the car though. Probably more than that, a mile and a half maybe. Oh. This side, it looks like there is a path down the side from Catbells right down to the top. That's annoying. Saved me about 2 miles. Oh, and at last I am nearly back at the car. Oh, it's been an absolute nightmare today. Over 10 hours it's been. It's only just over 18 miles. It's just been so slow. Oh, that diversion to Castle Crag really wasn't advisable. Would have been easier just to do the normal Newlands Horseshoe and then driven round to pick up Castle Crag on its own. Would have been far quicker. Didn't help, also I had to come the long way round off Catbells. So I did a couple of miles to the journey. I mean, the fellas themselves were largely very nice. Certainly Ard Crags and Knott Rigg, and definitely Dale Head. Castle Crag had its charms, but like I say, it was a long way out of the way to get there. Anyway, that's a big chunk of book 6 out of the way already. As ever, thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope you can join me again next time. Until then, bye.